Now that we've got the gold down to 6 carat, we're going to introduce the acid into the gold this time. The acid's usually clear acid when we put it in. This is some leftover acid out of the last batch, the last time that I did it, so it's blue already because it has been in with some metal before. But there's still plenty of, the acid's still good enough that we can use that on the first 1 or 2 batches. And just so people know, I really wouldn't recommend going after the gold on the computer boards and little fingers that they call them, unless you want to do it as plainly a hobby. You're going to spend more money in buying everything that you need, acids, little heat burners, the beakers, everything that you need to do it. It's not cost effective, especially if your time's worth anything, because it is a real timely process. We'll spend probably 8 hours today just putting this stuff through the acid baths. We'll go grab the acid, we'll introduce it to the metal. Off gases that come off of this are very toxic. You don't want to breathe them. I don't recommend anybody doing this. This is just trying to show you guys the process of it. Is what I'm watching for is for the acid to quit working really. It'll just turn in more to a boil instead of a real agitation in the acids that you can see now. So when it just kind of comes to a boil and there's no brown smoke left in it, then we will drain the acid off of it. I'll rinse it out with distilled water once just to kind of get a lot of the junk out of it, and then we'll introduce more acid again and let it go again. Sure if you can tell, but the gold's coming in a lot more brown. Yeah, and if you could weigh it at this point, it would be a lot lighter too, because we're taking out 3/4 of the weight. Yep, so at this point, we're about done. You can still see a hint of blue in it. I think a lot of that was just left over from remnants from the other acid. Still in it a little bit. The acid might have eaten it, you know, a little bit more out of it. But at this point, there's no more brown smoke. The acids are not eating any more of the other metals, so that should be 24 karat gold. We rinsed it one last time, just in distilled water. We brought it in, we dried the gold, mostly anyways. I mean, it's still a little bit damp, but it's pretty dry. This is how it turns out. And they're really light, little kind of, it just breaks into dust. That's pure gold in another state. I'm gonna put a borax on it. Borax is basically a flux for the metal. And it basically puts, it's kind of like in ceramics, after you fire it and you get that shiny sheen on there and it seals everything. That's basically the same thing the borax is going to do to the crucible here. So we'll heat it up with the torch. A lot of guys use a lot of borax. I personally don't. I'm only going to use a couple of pinches, you know, of it and just sprinkle it in there. You don't need a whole bunch of borax. It just ends up dirtying up the gold in there. Looks like dirt. Second more and we'll throw it in the water. beautiful 24 karat gold button. Ready to shoot for 100 DWT. Came up at 97.4. I mean, it's pretty close. Yes, of course, I would like to be heavy. But with gold, anytime you mess with it, it seems like it comes out light. But it's very close to what we were shooting for. I'm very happy with the way it turned out. And we will let you know exactly what it shot. We'll see how clean we got it. And the cracks you see on the top is just from the borax. It's just from cooling. It actually, you know, if you wanted to get it off, you could rub on it and get that to come totally off. We'll show you a piece of it when it's cleaned up. But on the bottom side, this is just air bubbles or in the borax down underneath it when it's in the crucible.